Well, I think one of the things about my dad, if we were looking for him, you'd go outside and stand still and listen. And the first thing you'd know, humming, whistling, singing, coming from somewhere, well, that's where he has to be. Because he was always doing music in his mind out loud. It was humming or whistling a lot. And so you'd find him when you went out, you'd just listen to see where he was coming from. My sister told me he only had 6 music lessons in his life. He played a saxophone, he played a fiddle, he played a banjo, he played... And, like, where did he get his saxophone? I have no idea where the instruments came from, what he had to barter to get one and learn. I have no idea. I don't remember.
Right.
The reason he did the music was because it paid the taxes. There wasn't enough income on the farm. The eggs paid for the groceries, and each thing paid for something else, but there was no money to pay the taxes, and there was everything was taxed. So he put his music to work for he mostly played the saxophone.
Okay, we have a solo here. I'm just gonna do
We didn't see much of my dad because there were so many outside chores. He had cows, he had pigs, and he had chickens. And we had eggs. And he went to St. Chrysostom and went to the convent and asked if there was a sister there that would give his daughters music lessons, piano lessons. And my mother used to take us to the convent, and she'd sit in the back row with her knitting while the Sister Marie gave us each our half an hour, whatever it was, on the piano in that room. That Dad had gone and arranged for us to have these music lessons so that we'd know something.
Did your dad have an orchestra before you guys started playing with him?
I think so. I think Ruth Culland was the piano player. I don't know who all. Harvey Webb. And then we came along. He had already been doing it, and they were with him. And then for 3 or 4 years, it was the 3 girls and my dad. We did it all. Like I said, I started when I started, maybe when Ruth Culland would be retiring, courting on the piano when he was doing a square dance.
That's what you started with, okay.
And then he got a drum set, and then they moved me over to the drum set, and my sister started playing the piano. And then when my younger sister came along, they put her on the drums, and he got the steel guitar for me. When they go to dances, half the crowd wanted square dances. If the caller didn't show up, he taught himself to sing square dance callers, and they would rather dance to his singing calls than not dance at all, and so that.
Some of the places that you remember playing at with your dad?
Well, we played in each of the churches in the village. Like one would pick Easter, and one would pick Thanksgiving, and one would pick. They very carefully didn't step on each other's toes. Like a certain church would be involved in a certain thing, and they expected us to play. They didn't necessarily. Rufus will bring his girls and play. Saturdays would be French weddings, and you'd go and you'd start in the morning, and you'd play, you know, all day kind of thing. And then we had a Saturday night job at Canada Hotel in Clarenceville. And so, I mean, Dad had chores to do and cattle, and so he'd have to go home and milk the cows and feed everybody, and then go to the Saturday night job, and so.
Yeah, yeah. And
our whole life, that was all we ever did.
So you talk about the square dance music. What other types of music did you have to play there? Were you expected to play?
Oh, well, you started out, my father had the first, what he called the first round, he'd have certain pieces picked out, and he'd play, like you'd play maybe 4 pieces in a round, and then he'd know what kind of a crowd he had, and so depending on which one it was, the number one would have so many songs, so we'd do all of those songs, and each one had a different range of songs, and we'd play depending on what the crowd wanted. Depending on what the crowd was and what they wanted. But by the first round he played, he knew what they wanted, and then he'd know what from then on what to play. None of us had any music in front of us. We were just playing. And my dad had I've got the thing. It's in there. Do you want to see it?
Yeah, I'd love to. Take your time.
Take my time. Sure. I don't know. Can you get in here to have a look?
Beautiful. My goodness, I never would have imagined.
So, now sit down.
Oh, it's got a...
Yeah.
Look at that. And he made this. Like you said, he made everything by hand. I'm sure.
Because it had to stand up.
Right, of course.
And then,
There
we are.
My
And
goodness.
he'd have his music, but not necessarily music. It would be a piece of paper with the name of the song. And each one, as he came to it, this crowd would do this song, each one, and that's... But he made that so that the people they'd see that part,
And you'd see this part.
and we'd see
Yeah.
this part.
What I'm wondering is, I want to sort of visualize like a typical evening from the time you guys are at your house, going out to these halls, playing and coming back. Just walk us through what a typical evening, Friday evening was like for you guys.
Friday evening. Well, I had a girlfriend. My mother had a friend, and she had 1 girl and 3 boys. And the poor girl, so the mothers decided it was easier to bring Margaret to my house to play with the 3 girls than to leave her at home to have to hassle with. I guess they teased her. The boys teased her. So Dad would pile, and the instruments had to all go in the car with him at the same time, and they put Margaret and I in the back seat and pile the instruments around us. So we never had sitting on something or in something or so, and it was an old-fashioned car. There was no trunk. It was just a big square car, and all the instruments had to sit inside. So we were packed in with the instruments to go with this. But Margaret would remember some of those days.
Mm-hmm.
and we'd be Friday night. We'd be playing it in a church hall. And we'd be going home in the car, putting our hair up in pin curls. We'd get home and run our head under, well, we didn't have a tap, it would be a bucket of water, and wrap it up in a towel and sleep. So it had to be dry to comb it out to go to one of these French weddings the next day. And when Terry first started bringing me here, he'd come out and get me on a Sunday afternoon and bring me out for supper. And his mother was horrified. He couldn't understand why I was always falling asleep on Sunday afternoon. I'd be sitting there. I couldn't stay awake. She didn't understand the orchestra and the playing and all that. But
right.